Let's talk Oregon recruiting. The Ducks, they're off to a 3-0 start. And coming out of the bye week, I'm just thinking recruiting, it's been awfully quiet in Eugene. And when it gets quiet, Dan Lanning and his staff are cooking something up. And we're talking flip targets in this video. I got Justin Hopkins from Scoop Duck, best Oregon insider in the business. And we're going to get into it in this video. But before we get started, Duck fans, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. This is the best recruiting channel on all of YouTube, so make sure you're subscribed. All right, let's bring in Justin Hopkins, and we're talking flip targets because there's a bunch of them right now on the board as Oregon tries to dial in what is already a top 10 class. Can they finish top 5, top 3? We're going to see. All right, first guy I want to talk about, 5-star corner Dejan Lee, committed to Alabama, but reports out just yesterday that he's been in contact with Oregon. What's happening there?
Yeah, I mean, it's the name of the game, right? All these early commitments around the country are going to lead to a lot of flips later on. So makes college football recruiting fun. But in the case of Dejan Lee, that's a guy that, Oregon wasn't necessarily strong in the mix for in the spring and summer, obviously committed to Alabama. But the Ducks have circled back around, and Dan Lanning has made personal contact there. Right now I would consider that one a long shot, maybe even in the incubation stage, if you will, for Oregon. But we know, you and I both know, Dan Lanning loves those late signing day surprises. Right. So this is one I think Oregon might be laying the foundation there, and we'll just kind of see if there's anything there or if this one kind of marinates at all.
Yeah. Right now, there's a little spark. We'll see if he shows up on campus. I think that's a great first tell on, hey, do we have a shot down the road? But yeah, a name to remember for November, December. Now, another name, we know Oregon's in the market for a big-time tight end. Right now, they're focused on Lincoln Cure. He's committed to Kansas State. Kansas State struggling a little bit right now in their season, but the 5-star still talking to Oregon despite his commitment. Justin, how real is a flip from Lincoln Cure?
Yeah, I would say an imminent flip is not going to be an accurate way to describe that one, but I would say this. There's obviously enough mutual interest still between Oregon and Cure that Drew Maringer, the tight end coach of Oregon, went out there during his bye week to pay him a visit. So I can't imagine him making that trip all the way out there just to say hi and have Lincoln Cure slam the door in his face. So, right now, again, like we kind of just talked about, let's see if he gets back on campus, right? Let's see if he comes out for a game. His name's been floated around for the Ohio State game in a few weeks at Oregon. That's a game that's probably going to feature a lot of top 50 recruits in attendance. I think Cure's very much a candidate there. And if that happens, if that takes place, then I think the chances of Oregon flipping him obviously go up a lot more.
Yeah. Now, you talk about the different stages of a flip. Let's talk about offensive lineman Douglas Utu, because I think he's more progressed, right? 7-10 days ago, we probably would have talked about Douglas Utu and put him in the same category as a Lincoln Cure, Dejan Lee. Oh, they're laying the groundwork. They're talking a lot with him. We'll see what happens down the road. Well, down the road is now. Coming out of the weekend, we saw Chad Simmons, Steve Wiltfong put their predictions in for Douglas Utu to flip from Tennessee to Oregon. So what are you hearing? What's the latest, and what's the timetable on when we could hear something?
Yeah, real interesting one there. And obviously, in the name of the game, if you get wind of one of your guys potentially flipping, obviously you're going to fight back, right? And that's what Tennessee's done here. I think going into the weekend, there was some speculation that a flip could happen, maybe possibly during that past weekend or even this week. That's how serious things got. But I do believe Tennessee is kind of rallied a little bit here and done their best to hang on to U2. And I think we're just kind of in that, what are we doing sort of phase, right? Or is the flip coming, or are we going to stay put? So I think Utu's got a lot on his plate. I still wouldn't be surprised to hear something this week from him, flipping to Oregon. But that said, it seems like that momentum meter's maybe gone back a little bit closer to the middle than it was swinging there for Oregon. So this one's going to be interesting to watch for the next week or two.
Absolutely, but Oregon definitely making him a priority. Now I want to talk about 4-star Noah McHale, committed to Texas A&M. Is he also a priority, and do you consider him, where do you put him on the flip scale?
Yeah, he's very much the one that got away for Dan Lanning. Oregon didn't need to sign a big linebacker class in 2025, but they wanted a couple dudes, and Noah McHale was at the top of the board almost the entire way. So when he was, when Texas A&M was able to land his commitment, that was kind of viewed as a big loss for the Ducks and Ducks recruiting. Right now, again, that's another one talking about coming out for Ohio State game in a few weeks. I know the communication has remained strong between those two sides ever since his commitment. He's not as close as I would say, Douglas Utu and a potential flip there is. But this is one that I feel like Oregon is not going to go away quietly on. And we've seen from years past when Dan Lanning has his sights set on somebody, he does not give up easily. And I think Mikhail's going to be one in November, December that we're talking a lot about between Oregon and A&M.
All right, like we said, Oregon sitting at number 8 overall in the On3 industry team rankings. So they're trying to get into that top 5. Any other flip targets that you see right now on Oregon's board that Duck fans need to be aware of?
Yeah, I mean, there's two, we'll call it interesting ones, 2 Washington commits. And of course, Duck fans love nothing more than stealing their rival to the North's top guys. But tight end Vanderplug, who's committed to Washington. Oregon had offered back in the spring, and he visited. So there had already been a pretty good relationship there. But the communications kind of picked back up again since his senior year. I think the Ducks watched his first couple games and came away, feeling impressed. And, of course, missing on a couple other tight end targets along the way. And then, of course, fellow commit offensive lineman Zach Staskowski. That's a tough one to say. An offensive lineman out of the state of Oregon. And so you look at that one being an in-state guy. Coincidentally enough, he picked up an Oregon and a Georgia offer last week and mentioned that both of those teams are now kind of in the mix for him, and he's going to continue to look at them moving forward. So those would be 2 fun ones. A last really quick one I can throw at you, 5-star cornerback Naeem Offord. I know you've talked about him. We've all talked about him. Ohio State commit. Oregon and Auburn are working really hard on that one. So that's another potential big flip for the Ducks as well.
All right. Exciting times. Duck fans, talk to me and Justin. How are you guys feeling about some of these targets? Who's your top flip priority? Let us know. Comment section below.